Hi, Josh.
Hi, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview.
No problem.
Oh,
Pleasure.
oh, awesome. Well, it's great to be able to do this, especially for an album that I never knew if there was going to be anything new coming from Pure Reason Revolution, and I'm so happy to see
Uh-huh.
that there is a new album here with Eupnea.
Okay, great. So it was a pleasant surprise for you. That's good.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, being a huge fan of the original albums and, of course, everything going its different ways at the beginning of the last decade, I mean, I'm glad to see in 2020 that you did resurrect Pure Reason Revolution and just made a stellar album out of it.
Oh, great. Well, thank you very much.
Oh, not a problem. So, with that in mind, how did this whole writing process begin for the new album?
Right, let's rewind a little bit. So I did this project Bullet Hype, and after sort of the album had come out, we'd done like a little bit of touring in the UK, a few shows in Germany, and then after that it got to the point of, well, what happens now? And then it was sort of, well, I suppose it's time to make another Bullet Hype record. But at that time, I sort of wasn't too sure, didn't have much direction, wasn't too sure what to do. So I took a bit of a break from music, I'd say perhaps 6-month break. And then when I did sort of venture back into the studio, it's the sort of material that was coming out sounded more progressive. And it sounded more like Pure Reason Revolution than it did Bullet Hype. So as the demos progressed, again, it sounded more and more like Pure Reason Revolution. So that's when I sort of messaged Chloe, because I thought, if this is going to be Pure Reason Revolution, then, I need to have Chloe on board. And so I sent her a message and said, can we meet in London? She said yes. I put the idea to her, and she said yes. So then it was sort of like, yeah, Pure Reason Revolution was reborn, really.
Oh, and it's so great to see that it did turn out that way too. Just having it be organic and just where your mind was at the time, and just coming up with these songs and just having it be natural, because that's the real reason to bring a band back, is because it's something that you want to be able to create again.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was just this, naturally in the studio, there was no sort of like preconceived ideas. Let's make it sound like this. Let's make it sound like that. It just, was what naturally happened at the time, at the crossroads that we were at. So yeah.
Oh, and again, it's so fantastic to see it happen too, because when I keep listening to Eupnea, it just sounds like you never left. I mean, it feels like such a great natural progression for the band, and being able to take things that I love so much about the previous albums, but mixing it together, making it modernized, and it sounds like such a natural progression for the band.
Yeah, I think the Eupnea sounds closest to the Dark Third than the rest of the records, but I think at the same time, it has new surprises on there. I think it sounds like a 2020 record. It doesn't sound so it sounds like, it sounds updated. Of course there's similarities, with the songwriting, but yeah, I think we sort of progress things, and hopefully people will like they'll get the similarities that they had on the previous record, but be pleasantly surprised at the same time.
Oh, very much so. So with that in mind, I mean, what was it like to actually be back into the studio writing and recording again for Pure Reason Revolution?
It was a really nice process. I'd say it was probably about a year from sort of the demos to getting the finished masters back. But I had a bit of time by myself in the studio, and then collaborated with Greg Young. So he was the original guitarist from Pure Reason Revolution. He's actually based in Portland, Oregon. And I mentioned the notion of Pure Reason again to him, and he loved it. So he came over to Berlin for a couple of weeks, and we worked on a couple of tracks. So I already had a sort of primitive demo of New Obsession, and we sort of built up that into a full production, pretty quickly. And then the next main track we worked on was Silent Genesis. And with this track, we both just, sat down. Neither of us had any sort of ideas about what key it was going to be or anything like that, or any preconceived ideas. We just both sat down with a couple of guitars in front of the keyboards and then just started working on this track, and within a few days we had, you know, a full arrangement for that. And it was just a really exciting collaboration. We'd not worked together for 15 years or more, but it was really sort of creative fireworks. Then we got the song over to Chloe very quickly, and she put vocals on it, and then that's when it started sounding like Pure Reason Revolution was back.
Oh, that's just incredible. And what a great first song to be able to show the comeback of Pure Reason Revolution 2 than having Silent Genesis. I mean, it was just incredible to be able to hear this 10-minute plus song released as the first taste of the album coming out.
Yeah, and we wanted to sort of make a statement that we're back. We are, you know, we're a progressive rock band, and, you know, here we are again. So it was sort of like, yeah, let's make this bold statement. There's a 10-minute track. Here you go.
And funny enough, just a few hours ago, it was great to see that New Obsession actually got released as a single as well.
Yeah. So that's the next track in the build-up to the album. We've got another month till the album's out, so yeah, this is the next one to sort of hopefully keep people interested until the album comes out. And so I think it was another sort of a bit of a surprise, because there was sort of no mention of it, and then it just got released today. So yeah.
Oh, totally. And that in particular with New Obsession, I think that's such a stellar way to be able to start off the album as well, too. I mean, it feels like a great beginning track to the album, and then having it flow into Silent Genesis, with it being the first single, but also the second track off the album, it was a good mix.
Yeah, no, and it's, I think for me, when we were in the last couple of months of doing the album, I knew that New Obsession was going to be the first track, and sort of gave it this sort of atmospheric intro. And on there, you've got some of these beeps and some of these heartbeat things, which come from the hospital. So yeah.
Oh, totally. And yeah, I mean, the other 4 tracks on the album, too, I mean, it's a great collection of songs that are going on here. And, you know, just seeing things end off with the longest song from Pure Reason Revolution, the title track of Eupnea, I mean, that is another amazing way to be able to close out this new chapter of the band. I mean, what a great song.
Yeah, no, it was it was certainly a challenge to finish that track, and I think we had the guy Daniel Bergstrand do the mixing, and when I sent him the amount of files for this track, he was almost in tears, I think, because it must have been in the hundreds really with the tracks, and he did really well to sort of pull it all together. So he deserves an award for mixing that track in itself.
And what was that like for you when you finally got the final product back and you were able to listen to these songs in their full form?
It was great. There's always a few times when you're making a record, you know, you have these ups and downs, it ebbs and flows. Some days you think you've created the best thing ever, then other days you're sort of in total despair thinking, am I ever going to be able to finish this? So yeah, like I said, some days you feel like you've got the whole world in your hands thinking, this is great, this is going to be brilliant, and then other days you're contemplating scrapping the whole thing. So when you've actually put it all together, you've managed to segue some of the songs, you've done all the vocals, you've sort of you finally finished. It was a great feeling to get it all back, listen to it in one thing and think, wow, I actually completed it. I'm proud of this. We're proud of this. Let's see what people think now.
Yeah, and, you know, it's again, I'm just so happy to see that this album did come to fruition, too, because there are so many trials and tribulations that go into being in a band, being in music in general, and just like you said, you have those days where you just want to be able to scrap everything and either come up with a new idea or even be done with music. You know, there's so many different directions that can happen, but when you have those moments where you realize that things are going the direction that it's supposed to go, you end up with an album like this, and again, I'm so happy to see the way it turned out, because this is an amazing album, and you know, if this kind of creativity is going on now, I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the future. Yeah, well, thank you very much. Yeah, and we want to get into more of a, well, we certainly don't want to wait another 10 years for an album, but we'd like to get into more of a cycle of, you know, let's get
get recording again. Let's get playing live, and we'd like to be able to release an album every 2 years and keep things going, keep momentum to it. It's been difficult in the past when we sort of changed labels and things like that, but now things feel stable, and we've got a really good creative setup with Chloe and Greg involved as well. So yeah, it's sort of a really exciting creative time, and we've got a great label with Inside Out, really supportive label, which is incredible, really. So we've got a good fan base that's got a really nice sort of spread across the world, really. So yeah, let's see what happens next.
Oh, totally. And with that exciting times and the creative moments that are going throughout the band, I love seeing that creativity also going through the album cover as well, because I really love the way this turned out. I mean, the use of the colors, I mean, so much of it being black with the art, but being able to see the colors used with that, and with a great creativity that's going on there. Like, how did that idea come from to use that?
So it came about through, let me think, the album cover. So lots of the lyrical content comes from an era that was just after my daughter was born. So she was born very early. She was born at 32 weeks, and she went straight into intensive care. And then we had lots of ups and downs in this first month, basically, of her being alive in the hospital. We had days where things went well, and then days when things went badly. And the main thing was she couldn't breathe properly, so they had to sort of she had to put this surfactant into her lungs to spring open her lungs. And we had to have this a couple of times. And it was a very testing, sort of crazy emotional time. She's now a very healthy 2.5-year-old, but at the time we didn't know how things were going to turn out. So one night when I was staying late in the hospital, I had my hand in her incubator and I was just holding her. And one of the nurses came over to me and she said, she's strong like a little lion, she'll make it through. And that night when I got home late, I was flicking through social media like you do, and I saw this picture. And it was this I Am Real, I Am Not Real by my friend Jill Doherty. It was this painting that you see on the album cover. And it just really connected with me that day because of what the nurse had said a few hours earlier. I then saw this lion, and to me it was a lion breathing sort of over this precipice. And I loved the painting because it also showed such detail and such skill that I was blown away by that as well. If you look at the lion's mane, it's just incredible skill in the painting. So I also liked that. I thought that, not only did it have this connection with what had been said that day, but also just loved the craftsmanship as well from Jill in the painting. So as sort of the album progressed, I then spoke to Jill, and I said, Jill, I'd love to use this painting that I've talked to you about before. And she said, yeah, definitely, use it for the album cover. So we finally got sort of the rights to use it. And yeah, so then it just became, I never had any question about was the album cover going to be anything else. It had to be this for me right from the start. So, and then we finally got it. So it was really nice that it came together.
Wow, and that's just incredible. I mean, the timing of that too. I mean, from going from the hospital and then being able to go home and see something that would be such a great representation of where you were going to go musically. It's just like, it's amazing how the world can work like that, and it's just so cool to be able to see the way it turned out like that.
Yeah, definitely. It was really sort of very, hit me with huge impact that day. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking at that with more emotion and impact behind that now, too, especially knowing that.
Cool.
And, along with all of this that's going on right now, I mean, now being on Inside Out, having an amazing new album coming out next month through Inside Out, it's great to see that there's actually a couple shows that are being lined up in July. It's great to see that you guys are taking a weekend to be able to actually reform in the live setting.
Yeah, we've got, at the moment, we just have these 2 festivals. We've got Night of the Prog in Germany, followed by a show in Maidstone in Kent, in the UK. And then At the moment, we're having booked a tour for October, which is going to be sort of throughout Europe. I think it's about 10 shows. So I think that will be announced shortly, the October tour.
Oh, that's...
But hopefully at some point we'll make it over to the States as well.
Oh, I'd love to see that happen too, but until that happens, I'm just glad to see that these shows are being lined up, tours coming up on here, because this is an album that there's some songs on there that I think are just going to sound exceptional live, and it's going to be able to be great to be able to hear those songs and then be able to hear the previous Pure Reason Revolution songs as well. I mean, it's great to be able to see all of this happening.
Yeah, no, we're really looking forward to playing them, and I think also it'll be fun, adding a mix of the old material as well. So we're just at the moment we're trying to work out, which tracks we're going to pick for the set, because there's 4 albums of songs now. So but we're looking forward to it definitely.
So with that in mind, I mean, obviously, with booking these shows and trying to pick out the songs that are going to be played in that live setting, what's it like going back to the previous material and listening to those songs and deciding what should make it into the set list?
I don't know. Maybe we'll just cheat and we'll just have a look at like Apple Music or Spotify and see which are the most popular. Then we'll just play those. No, we won't really do that. We'll be more creative than that. I don't know. I guess it will be a mix of thinking which ones are our favorites to play, and which ones are the fan favorites as well. And I think we'll just make a good mix. Obviously, we're going to be keen to play a chunk of this new stuff from Eupnea, but then also we'll play a good bit of the Dark Third as well, and then a mix from the other 2 albums as well. So it'll be we're looking forward to sort of creating the set list. I think it'll be fun.
Oh, awesome. And I think with that, that's an amazing note to end on as well. Thank you so very much for taking this time to be able to talk to me about everything that's going on in your world right now. And of course, the new album from Pure Reason Revolution, Eupnea, coming out April 3rd through Inside Out Music. I love this album. I'm so excited to see the band come back the way that it has. The fact that shows are being lined up, possibly something over here in the States too, but things are just coming out naturally in a great progression. And it was great to be able to talk to you about all of it.
Great. Thanks very much, Josh. Pleasure to talk to you.